Namaste, and a very good evening to one and all present here. I'm Priya Sandeep, a soft skills trainer and a motivational speaker. Welcome to Leaders Connect 360 Foundations episode L30211. Leaders Connect 360 Foundation is a non-profit organization aligned with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals SDG. Our mission is to invite 1,000 plus leaders like you today, ma'am, and create 1,000,000 leaders. Every Wednesday, we come together from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. IST on Zoom Live to gain insights from top management leaders and the last week of the month from authors. And once every quarter, we take it offline in different cities to network, support, and grow together. Because at Leaders Connect 360, we strongly believe that leaders create more leaders. Before we start the episode, a quick reminder, please keep your videos on for an engaging experience. First-time visitors, check out the WhatsApp, Facebook, and LinkedIn links in the chat box to stay connected and grow with us. This episode is being recorded for our community archives. Now let's set the energy high. If you're excited and ready for an impactful session, drop a thumbs up or a smiley in the chat. Oh yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And before we go, let me introduce our guest, Ms. Susmita Malik, Vice President, Human Resources, India, 24/7 AI. Welcome, ma'am. Let me also introduce Mr. Arul Prakash, who will be interacting with our guest, alongside our panel discussion leader, Mr. Sreenath, soft skills and communication trainer. So without further ado, let's get started. So over to you, Arul.
Super Priya, thank you so much, and good evening from my side to everybody. Thank you so much joining for us today for Leaders Connect 360 episode LC0211. From my side, thank you, Susmita Madam. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Leaders Connect episode, and thank you, Sreenath, for taking up the panel discussion leader today. So thank you, Priya, for having a great curtain raising for today's episode. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Susmita Madam, joining us today. And before taking into the panel discussion, let me give you a small understanding about Leaders Connect 360, the context setting. So currently now we're going to have a small panel discussion with our guest, Ms. Susmita Malik and Sreenath. And then after that, we'll be having open questions to Susmita Madam. And then we'll be having a quiz question for our members and visitors who are listening to the episode. And then a summary and then a vote of thanks. So it's going to be like a having complete episode for 7:15 p.m. So thank you so much. So without taking much time, let me also introduce our guest and our panel discussion leader, Mr. Sreenath, through an introduction video with all your permission. Are you ready for the introduction video? Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let me play the video now. once again from our side, welcome our leader, Ms. Susmita Malik, so much for joining us today. And thank you, Sreenath, for joining us today as a panel discussion leader. And yes, the topic itself is very interesting today, leaders' role in building organizational culture. And we have a right person to talk about it today. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. So without taking much time, I'll hand over the session to Mr. Sreenath and Susmita. Thank you so much. Yes. Please proceed.
Thank you, Arul. Yeah. Thank you, Arul, for this warm welcome. And it's my pleasure speaking to the guest, Ms. Susmita Malik, and all of you here. So it's from yesterday, I've been researching about Ms. Susmita on LinkedIn. She must have noticed that so many views must have come on her LinkedIn profile. But it's very impressive to see your work, madam. It's a pleasure talking to you on a platform like this.
Thank you, Sreenath. Thank you, Arul and Priya. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure you're saying more than I deserve, but thank you.
Okay, then let's get started. It's already 6:40 now. First question for you, ma'am. You have extensive experience in the field of HR. Now, a basic question to set the context for the audience. What is the significance of organizational culture according to you, as per your experience and from what you have seen?
I think it is the backbone of any organization. So you would have heard the saying, and I actually posted that on LinkedIn while reposting your discussion today, that they say that culture eats strategy for breakfast every day, right? So right. I find that to be so true because at any organization, senior leadership is so deeply involved in strategizing as to what the organization goals should be and everything to do with business vision and goals. But ultimately, the proof of the pudding and the real test is culture. So I think people join an organization because of its culture. I think clients cleave to an organization because of its culture and whether it resonates with theirs or not. So therefore, whether you look at it from a people perspective, a customer perspective, culture is really the fundamental of any organization. And it symbolizes everything that the organization stands for.
Okay. All right. Just because you said it symbolizes what the organization stands for, just a question to you, whether what's more powerful in shaping culture? Is it systems and processes, or is it stories and symbols of the company?
I think both, but if you ask me to prioritize, I will certainly say stories and symbols, because that is what resonates with human beings. So whatever are the tenets of an organization's culture, for example, we have at 24/7 8 tenets that we have defined, which starts with care. And care for our people, care for our customers. And our vision is that everybody in the company should be a happy heart, because the belief there is that if a person is happy, they will make sure that they better themselves, they do better than their best, and they give their utmost to the success of the organization. So I definitely think it is the stories of humans who have been leaders, who have grown from the front ranks and contributed to the growth of the organization.
Right, all right. Beautifully put. Beautifully put. Okay, now, say, for example, in the past 5 or 6 years, right after COVID, to be more precise, people have started working from home, like a lot of them. Some companies work hybrid. Some companies are working completely remote. Where nowadays, I think many people are returning to office, but let's leave it aside. But there is a substantial amount of companies where employees are working from home. So given that scenario, when people are not meeting in person every day at office, how do you think that can actually influence culture, or is there a chance for the culture to deteriorate because they're not being in person, except for any particular occasions? Say probably they meet once or twice a week. In my previous company, it was like that.
So, and I think it's a very pertinent question. And I think COVID completely changed the way we look at work. And COVID made us rethink about everything that we do. And some of those learnings not only served us during that critical phase, it is serving us even today. Because even today, exactly like you said, people are not working completely from office or completely from home. It's usually a mix from everybody that I talk to. In many companies, they're doing maybe 3 days in office, 2 days from home, and so on. In our case, we have some employees who completely work from home. And then on a rotational basis, maybe for a week in a month, we bring them to office for better engagement practices. But let me just step back from that. So during COVID, we instituted two things out of many other things that we did, which were to address exactly what you're talking about. So first was that from a performance point of view, that earlier what used to happen when everyone used to work from office, you had your supervisor right next to you. You get stuck with a problem, you can reach out to them, hey, help me, and they come over and help you with that. The moment people shifted home, it became so difficult because for everything you had to call the supervisor. If he or she was available, then they can help you, and so on. So we started something which we call the supervision governance framework, where everybody from the country head to the center head to the manager to the supervisor, the immediate supervisor, and HR, on a very regular calendarized basis, was connecting with every single employee to make sure that they never felt left out and to make sure that the distance was minimized. That was from the performance perspective. It has really worked well. And we have made it part of our process even today when most of our people are working from office. The other was from an engagement standpoint. So we brought in what we call the virtual engagement framework. And in that, we ensured that everything that we do, whether it was celebrations, whether it was passion clubs, we have something called passion clubs where, if you're fond of music, you can be part of that club. If I'm fond of art, I can be part of the art passion club, and so on. And we involve families, parents, grandparents, children in those initiatives. So it became like a 24/7.ai family where not only the employee but his immediate family could also be part of everything that we do. So I think they realized through that we care a lot about them. And that is something that today, when we have people who are working from home, we bring them in on a week, or like I said, on a rotational basis. We invite their families over and we continue to practice some of those best practices that we learned during COVID times.
Okay, that's beautifully put. Now, I hope this will be the norm of almost all tech companies, I believe, at least the large ones per se. Because personally, from my standpoint, when I was working in my previous organization, my supervisor, whom I'm reporting to, she was from a different city. She was from Pune. Senior manager was from Mumbai, and I'm working from Chennai. Now, I'm reporting to a person whom I've never met for all the 3 or 4 years. So this actually makes sense.
Yes.
All right.
And it becomes difficult because you have not been to the office. You can't quite relate
Right.
to what the environment is like. So
Right.
it's our responsibility to make sure that that is made more real to every employee.
Right. All right. All right. Now, when we talk about the culture, right? We need to communicate the culture to the bottommost people in the organization, right? Everybody has to follow the same culture or at least try to fall in line with the culture. Now, from a leadership point of view, what kind of strategies do you, or generally in the industry, what do they follow to just communicate or employ these cultural values among the employees?
So I'll step back from that question first to start with some fundamentals. So, first, the job of a leader, I think, is to build trust. Because trust is fundamental to any human relationship, whether it's in the workplace or it's in personal life. So I think that's one. Second is to be a role model. Because as leaders, at every moment, whether we know it or not, we are being observed. So whatever we do, whether we meet in corridor conversations, in coffee machines, in the cafeteria, or in formal meetings, people are watching how we behave, how we treat them, how we greet them. Do we take a personal interest in them or not? Do we care? Because these are all demonstrations of caring for a person. So I think that's important. I think the third is that we need to self review every day. So when we get up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror, think about whether I did everything as I should have, and be honest with yourself, because no one is perfect. We all make mistakes, but be honest to acknowledge those and overcome those through daily learnings that we have. So I think these are some basics. Now, coming to the question of communication, first, I think the verbal communication. So there are formal platforms that all leaders set up. We also do, whether it is town halls, whether it is different leadership addresses, coffee meets with employees, and so on and so forth. It is important to consistently drive the message as to how important culture is. In monthly business reviews, in quarterly business reviews, usually there is a tendency for all the business goals to be reviewed first, and then the softer aspects like inclusion, like culture, and so on and so forth. So I think, again, it's responsibility of leaders to bring culture to the forefront of business reviews, because it directly influences organization metrics. So these, I think, are from a verbal communication, because again, employees are watching and reading into everything that we say and do as to how seriously do we take culture. So if it's the last discussion point in a business review, then people will understand a certain message, right? The other is non-verbal communication. And like I said earlier, everything that we do, how we walk, how we talk, how we pay attention to a person, when we say, how are you, do we wait to listen to their response? And do we engage with them? Do we support them in times of their personal crisis? If something's going on at home, do we take time out to ask about it? I think all these are non-verbal communication that people read a lot into. So it is not just what we say in boardrooms, in town halls, in forums, those are absolutely important. But it is also whether we are living it and practicing it every day in our day to day behaviors with people.
Right. So it's beautifully put. You covered both how verbally as well as non-verbally leaders act as the driving force of the culture. That is good. Now, when you say about metrics, say for example, when you talked about culture transitioning into or converting into organizational metrics based on performance, how do you, is there a way, or I think there is a way, but can you throw more light on this, whether we have any metrics to gauge culture, or is there something like a culture audit? Is there something, a possibility like that?
Yes. So, in fact, we have built these into our culture framework. So, you asked, is there a way to measure culture? So, we always used to have, we had instituted something that which we call Just 16, which is the name given to our employee satisfaction survey. Now, it is called Just 16 because it has 16 questions. Now, in this, there are 6 questions which are directly related to organization culture. How do they feel about it? Do they experience it in their day to day work life, and so on? And we have certain goals which are set across the board. I carry it, all senior management carries it, and people right down to the manager levels carry it in their goal sheets. And so when that comes out, that is a reality check for people to know how their teammates, how people across the organization feel as to whether we live and talk culture, whether we walk the talk or not. How does it impact organization metrics? And now I'm talking not just about how we measure culture, this is how we measure it, but how does that influence everything else? See, as any organization wants to be an employer of choice, and wants to be a partner of choice for their customers. And therefore, like I said, that our vision is to ensure that everyone in the organization is a happy heart. Because if you are happy, you will give your best, you will create customer delight. And then we draw correlations. So, one of the questions, by the way, in the culture questions is whether I am a happy heart at 24/7. So people respond to that, and they can also give verbatims. So that tells us a lot about how they are feeling. And then we correlate that to other metrics, for example, retention metrics, for example, customer satisfaction, NPS metrics,
Right.
and other critical business metrics to see whether there is a correlation. And typically, and this is not just about our organization, you will see it in studies worldwide, there is always a correlation. That
Right.
companies who live their culture, they definitely do better from a business perspective. And that's why the opening statement that culture eats strategy.
Strategy. Right, right. It was actually one of my questions, but you already answered it. So I didn't want to put across that to you. All right, right. That's beautifully put. So that's how you this converts into the culture, converts into driving business performance, and the metrics also improve. Brilliant, very nicely put. Now, even say, for example, leaders in organizations unintentionally, I mean, they may have good intentions at their heart and they may put business first, but sometimes they unknowingly damage culture. Unknowingly.
Yes.
So, what are the some of the common mistakes that you have seen that leaders make that dilute the culture?
So, first of all, I think I mentioned it in one of the earlier points, is that, at heart, all of us know, I don't think anybody will dispute this, that is culture critical? Everybody will agree. Is a leader a promoter of culture? In their hearts, they are. But in their day to day priorities, what happens is that they do not give sufficient time to this. And that's something which becomes a challenge. I think that's a pitfall. Because if you don't invest personal time, you're silently messaging that that's not as important as, let's say, revenue goals or something else. So it's important for us to be conscious that we not only act as promoters, but we actively participate in the culture program of the company. We invest personal time. We are part of activities and events that are built to celebrate the culture tenets of the organization. So I think that's one of the pitfalls that happen. I also mentioned that not always, sometimes leaders fail to bring it to the forefront of boardroom discussions. That's again a silent messaging, because people are understanding what is priority and what is not. So we should be very careful about making mistakes like that, because whether we like it or not, people will understand what they would like to from that messaging that we are doing. Right? The
Right,
third
right.
is not always taking the opportunity to celebrate moments of pride and joy with the decibel that it should be. Because great things are happening every day. And people are achieving small wins every day through their behaviors. So we have formal forums every quarter through which we recognize our culture exemplifiers, our role models. We do that. But wins, I think it is justified and required to celebrate that, so that everyone in the organization feels pride in what we are together achieving. And not giving that due importance can be another pitfall. And the final one, which I would like to mention, is sometimes as human beings, we all have our perceptions, right? But we should not allow those perceptions, whether it's about anyone, about you, about me, about anyone else, cloud our judgment when it comes to anything which we do. And we should not allow that to come in the way of ensuring that equal opportunities, fair practices, lack of bias, lack of partiality is never coming in the way of influencing our decisions. So I think these are few things that we need to be careful about.
Careful about. Right, right, right. Right. That was a very detailed explanation. Any people here would definitely benefit from these pitfalls that they should be aware of. That's right. And in times of disruption, right, especially in the technological sector, culture is truly tested in times of disruption. I think you agree with me,
Sure.
right? So how can leaders sustain and protect a strong culture in times of crisis, according to you?
First, I think I'll take the example of COVID because I think in our lifetimes that is the biggest disruptive crisis that we would have come across. And everybody had to learn a completely new way of living and working. And I think at that time, some of the practices that we brought in to care for our people day to day, right? Reaching out to families, tying up. For example, in Bangalore, we tied up with Manipal hospitals. People were not getting hospital beds, they were not getting oxygen cylinders. So, having these special tie ups to make sure that these were provided to them, sending food home to them through COVID care help desks and so on. We did so many things, and unfortunately when we lost a couple of employees to COVID, we launched what we called our we care policy. So through the we care policy, we ensured that any children of these employees, their education would be supported by the organization till 18 years of age, and that their medical and life insurance coverages would continue for the next few subsequent years. So I think these, and also we offered employment opportunities to their spouses if they were interested. And we actually hired a couple of spouses during that time. So I think that was a huge disruptive environment. And of course, I mentioned earlier to you what we did to engage our employees to ensure that their performances did not drop. And believe it or not, and you would have seen this in other studies also, it actually turned out to be a time of growth for the organization. And people stepped forward willingly to support so many initiatives that we did. And as an organization, we are very proud that we were recognized as national winners of COVID-19 action by none other than the United Nations Women Program. And across APAC, across 17 countries, we were the first runner up for some of the things that we did. In more recent times, and again, it's a phenomenon that is going on right now, sometimes in very small numbers, but we have had to let some of our teammates go. At that time, making sure that we are taking enough care to support them for outplacement opportunities, find them alternative options, or if openings open up internally, finding them place, giving them priority there are certain things that we have been doing to reinforce the fact that we mean what we say and we care for them.
Right, right. All right. So this example of COVID, I think nobody can evade this because everybody has gone through ups and downs during COVID. And large organizations still survived, but there are many small organizations that had a very tough time. I
Yes.
think you know that. Okay. So we will come to the last question for the day. Like this is going to be like a rapid fire round, and you can tell me whatever comes to your mind when you think about these words in respect to the topic here today.
Okay, sure.
So we have 5 words. I'll tell you one by one, and then you can go ahead with whatever comes to you. So first is trust.
I would say fundamental and non-negotiable.
True. Vision.
Vision has to be compelling and inspiring.
Beautiful. Accountability.
Accountability speaks louder than words.
People used to say actions speak louder than words. Now it's become accountability. Right. Values.
Values is at the heart of organization culture. It is like the bloodstream of an organization.
Right, beautifully put. And influence.
Influence has to be top down and bottoms up. So I think top down first and then bottom up.
Bottom down. Okay, good. You put it really well because I was thinking that culture is always top down, but I but I cannot.
And in fact, in our case, and I must share this, that the vision statement that I spoke about of our culture, it was done by, it was a survey run across the company. Everybody had a chance to say what they wanted the organization culture to look like. And keywords were picked out of that and then incorporated into the organization culture vision. So it has to be both ways so that everyone feels that we are not just being told what it should be, we are participating in the process. And then there is joint ownership, collective ownership.
That's beautiful. The bottom-up approach as well for culture. All right. It was a pleasure talking to you, ma'am. It is you gave a lot of insights on culture, and this is also I think a lot of people would have been able to relate to this, and the emerging leaders from this community who are in this call would have got enough information about what to do and what not to do. I think it sums up for the day. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you, Sreenath, and thank you, Arul.
Amazing,
Yeah,
amazing,
Arul.
Sreenath. Yes, yes, yes. Superb discussion. Thank you, Susmita ma'am. Thank you so much for giving us so much of insights about organizational culture and wonderful questions, Sreenath. Thank you so much for doing this panel discussion earlier today. And yes, now it's going to be the next segment of today's episode. Now we'll be having a small quiz session for our members who are joined for today's episode. Based on this discussion, we'll be having a small quiz. For that quiz session, let's take Mr. Bharat as a quiz leader. Yes, Mr. Bharat, you can have this your quiz question for today's episode.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And
Very good
first,
evening.
thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure listening to you on the crystal clear clarity to stepping up to the culture in our organization. Just to make
Thank you.
sure participation are well deserved with it. I'm just raising a small quick question. I'm just saying it in the same way I'm posting in the chat box too for the better understanding. Audience, okay, we have three choices for it. The question here is, as a leader, how can we influence those people at the bottom of the structure to hold on to the culture? So, option A, command to follow policy and procedures, build trust and be a role model, blame the employees for not following. So, you can type your choice A, B, or C in the chat box.
Answer coming now. Very nice. As a leader, how can we influence those people who are at the bottom of the
So,
structure
we
to
have
hold on
option
to the
N.
culture? Yes, yes, yes. And the answers are coming now. Oh, Sangeeta, there is no option called N here. Okay, no, okay, done. So again, it's N. So A, B, C is the options. So we got B and N. We received the option for answers for this quiz. So Bharat, now it's your turn. You can just announce who's the winner for today's episode.
I think most of them have known this. Yes, Priya Sandeep have hold the topper position by answering.
Amazing.
Yes,
Congratulations, Priya
applause, applause.
Sandeep. Applause. Thank you, Bharat. Thank you so much for taking up the quiz role today. And congratulations, Sangeeta. Priya ma'am, thank you so much for doing this. And thanks, everyone. Thank you, Sangeeta, for answering for this quiz. And yes, so Priya madam, you will get a quiz prize of a book which is shared here. You're able to see that. So this is the quiz prize for today's session. So it's a quiz prize of the book The Mind Kitchen. The author of the book is Captain Pratap Mehta. So Mr. Captain Mehta Mehta was our last month author of the month for the Leaders Connect episode. So soon I'll keep in touch with you. You'll be receiving the book.
And communication should be reviewed very clear. It is the responsibility of the leader to bring out the communication and it should be reviewed in a keen manner. Hard so that they can enjoy their process and we can get more productive in a manner. And as a leader, we should celebrate each and everything in an organization, and also we should build our we should not build our personal bias, and it should not influence the organization culture. So at the outset, organization culture and values plays a vital role, which is more important and which is like heart of the organization. Thank you so much for this wonderful points, ma'am. I think I've summarized all your points. And thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, thank you,
Thank you.
Aishwarya. Sorry, my apologies. Here it's heavily raining, so I got a challenge with the internet. Thank you so much, Aishwarya. Thank you so much for taking up. So yes, ma'am,
Yes,
thank you so
Arul.
much. We had a great session today, and now it's time for vote of thanks. Yes, Dr. Aishwarya, I can do the vote of thanks.
Yes, one second.
Yes.
Yes, one second, one second.
Yeah,
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 I
take
too,
it.
myself also take having that same challenge over here.
Yeah, it's heavily raining here in Chennai. So, Susmita ma'am, we are from where actually?
So I am based out of Bangalore, but right now I'm in Calcutta.
Oh, great, great, great.
So
Yes,
Good to
with
know,
this
good to know.
note,
Bangalore
I shall
actually
start my.
great weather.
Good, good. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Yes, yes,
Yes,
Aishwarya, you can
yes.
proceed with vote of thanks
Hello,
now. Yes.
yes, Arul. Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Dr. Aishwarya, Behavioral Training and 360-degree Assessment Specialist. It's great to see our leaders build a strong workplace culture. They create an environment where people feel valued and work well together. This helps the whole team grow and succeed. Thank you for sharing, Ms. Susmita. First, let me quickly share once again the purpose of this thriving leadership community. Leaders Connect 360 Foundation is a non-profit organization aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals (SDG). We are a hybrid model leadership community bringing together leaders every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m., where experts in their fields provide solutions to real-time leadership challenges, just like the valuable insights we received today from our esteemed guests. Yes, every last week of the month, we take a deeper dive into knowledge by inviting authors to share insights from their books, helping us grow as leaders and follow more leaders. I extend my deepest gratitude to our esteemed guest, Mr. Susmita Malik, for his thoughtful for his thought-provoking insights. Our wonderful panel discussion leader, Mrs. Sreenath, and a dynamic moderator, Mr. Arul Prakash, for leading such a valuable discussion today. And now, as a small token of appreciation, we present a special thank you video to express our gratitude. See you next Wednesday. Until then, keep leading and keep growing. Leaders create more leaders.
Great, great, Dr. Aishwarya. Thank you so much for this beautiful vote of thanks. And from my side, personally,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, Susmita ma'am. Thank you so much, Sreenath, for giving us wonderful insights about the topic today. Nice connecting with you, Susmita ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us today. So let's all have a small vote of thanks video now. Thank you so much. Before vote of thanks video,
Thank
if you have any points to share, Ms. Susmita, I can add a point. Yes.
No, I just wanted to say thank you. It's been a pleasure
Yeah,
and interacting with all of you. Thank you, Priya.
you within the short span, you inspired, ma'am, and no wonder you won the UN award. You actually won hearts.
Yes.
That's
Thank
it
you.
was so nice hearing you.
Thank you.
Yes.
How can somebody be so good to their employees? I think you have set a big example.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Priya. Thank you so much for this point. Yes, thank you, Susmita. Let's have a small vote of thanks video.